Hey everybody, welcome to Noel's Family Garage. Today we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff on this S10. We're doing the V8 swap into it. It's a 96 S10. I've got lots of wiring I got to remove and get out of the mess out of the way, because we're not running any of that fuel injection system anymore from the original. We're going to be running the Phytech fuel injection system that came with this engine. This engine was built by Blueprint, I believe is the company that built it, and it makes something like 510 to the crank, something like that, 510 horse. So stay tuned and I'll walk you guys through everything that's already been done, that I've already done, so that you kind of have an understanding of how it goes together. And I'll show you guys this book that I've got. Let me grab that real fast and I'll just show you guys now. Alright, so if you're going to be building these trucks, you're going to want this book. This is like the Bible for this thing. This makes things a lot easier because it'll show you what parts interchange from what vehicles. It'll show you where you need to adjust your firewall for clearance so that your bell housing fits. It'll show you where you need to do some clearancing for your distributor, and it helps run a small distributor too. But this book right here, it's www.v8s10.com is the website for their thing. It's JTR Publishing. I have no affiliation with them. As you can tell, this book's pretty beat up. I've used it on 4 builds now, 5 builds maybe. But I mean, it's got lots of useful information. It'll tell you what fits and what mounts to use. Like for instance, you want to use the 2.8 liter bottom motor mounts, because that's what the mounts that are designed for this engine. The bottom motor mounts work with the adapter mounts if they're the 2.8 mounts. So if your truck came with a 2.8, you're set. You just drop the motor in with the mounts and you're good to go. But like for instance, this is a 4.3 truck, factory 4.3. So I had to change those mounts out to the 2.8 mounts, and it made it work perfect. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's what you got to do to make the motor sit right. And it sits in there with good clearance. It sits low enough that the oil pan's not hitting, but you've got enough clearance that the engine's got room around it a little bit to get your exhaust in and everything else. So stay tuned and we'll get right into that. Hello everybody, we're going to dive right into this wiring right now, and I'll clean this stuff up, and then I'll explain to you guys all of the things involved in the process of stuffing that motor in here, that engine in here. So you guys stay tuned for that, and we'll show you guys what we got going on. Alright, so today I'm going to be working over all this wiring right here. I got to get rid of a bunch of this that we don't need. I got to get that all cleaned up and wired in the rest of the way for the ignition system. I've got to do a couple more things with the Phytech setup here to get it plumbed the rest of the way. I do have the feed line into it now, right over here. Here's my feed line. I'm going to build a little bracket for this to sit here so that that's a 100 micron filter. I've got a 10 micron filter back there on the tank to catch anything that's coming up through there. So we got a 10 micron back in the back, and then the 100 micron one up here, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So that's done. I just got to hook up the return line. I've got to do a lot of cleanup on the wiring because I've got most everything wired in, but I've got to clean a lot of it up just to make it look good. And then I need to build a new cap that goes over the radiator. Alright, so I'm not going to bore you guys with all this. All this right here, this all has to come out. I got to take right here, I got to pull this computer out. And I've got to unpin all of these wires right out of the computer, so it's a nice clean install. I don't want to have any garbage hanging out or wires that don't go anywhere. Anything that gets in my way that I don't need, it's just going to have to go so this engine compartment can be a little cleaner. So stay tuned for that, and I'll keep working on getting this all done up. I've still got a lot to come out of there, but I'll take it all out as I go. I won't bore you guys with that, but I'll show you everything that I got cut out of that so far. So all this stuff in this bucket, it's a whole crap load of stuff. So anyway, it's making the engine kind of dirty too, dang it. I had it all nice and polished up. It's getting dust all over it from that harness, all the dirt inside of it. We're going to go ahead and get some more stuff hooked up and get some more stuff removed that needs to come out, and I'll get back with you guys after that. See, so here's your Corvette radiator. I had this welded up. This had a neck here. I cut that out and it got welded up. So this sits, you've cut this out. There's 2 layers on your core support. You cut out the first layer, fold it over, and then you can stuff your radiator all the way up into there, like so it goes up in a ways, and it gives you quite a lot of clearance. I've probably got probably got 4 inches of clearance in between my engine and my radiator. Almost enough room. I could probably put a flex fan in there, and then I'll probably come out here and put in a couple little 10-inch electric fans on this side, a couple pushers. And also, they make special headers for these engines when you do this swap. So there's the headers. You can see there's 2 tubes here that come across around the steering shaft. And then these 2 kind of come in, so your steering shaft can go down the center. And you want straight plug heads for this, you want angle plug heads, sorry. If you use the straight plug heads, I'm going to have to take this, we're going to have to cut this tube off, cut it off on the other end, and we're going to have to move this and manipulate it a little bit so that the spark plugs, there's one here, one of them goes right here, right there, so it doesn't really clear, it touches here. So you got to fix that. Another thing I like to do is you can get if you look at the old S10 Blazers or like a 87 to like a 94 Chevy, you can get all this brackets off of that so that you can run the serpentine belts on here. And then, but don't forget, if you're just going to run a 350, you're going to want the water pump that goes with like the 4.3 or those TBI engines, because if you don't get that water pump and you put you route your belt the way you're supposed to, your water pump will be going backwards. So you got to make sure to get that water pump if you're going to do this swap. If you're going to use this anyway, this stuff. And you can, your old alternator from the 4.3 or 2.2, whatever, it should fit back in this bracket here. Like I put it right back in this bracket. I think I had to do a little grinding on it in one spot to make it fit, or I punched a hole out or something, I can't remember, but that is possible to make that fit. This AC compressor came off of a 93 Chevy. I've got, the hoses aren't hooked up right now, I just got them kind of laying out of my way, but they do all hook up and they do all fit where they need to go. So you can actually keep the AC on this truck and still run the AC. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I had to modify on this thing to make it work. Oh, sometimes you'll have to, I don't know about this one. I know the square ones, I've done a couple of the square S10s, and I've actually had to trim this piece off on the back edge back there, on the driver's side, on the upper control arm, because if you leave it long, it runs into your exhaust. Which, I don't know if I can see that from underneath. Let me look, and we'll kind of get an idea. I can't see up in there very good right now. But this one is going to be the first one that I've built that's got the fuel injection on it that's with it. Because I usually run a carburetor. But this one, this injection system is actually matched to this engine. It comes as a kit. This is a blueprint engine. It's making, I think, 500 horse to the crank is what it's pushing out. So that's going to be pretty cool on this little 2-wheel drive S10. And there's still lots to do. Like I got to get underneath of it adjust my motor mounts where I want them, because the motor mounts that you can buy online, I mean, they're like 30-40 bucks for a set. Well, I'm kind of getting off track here, but I was going to show you guys. I got this zip tied up out of the way now here. There's my wire, or my hose. See, it goes this way. It goes up, hooks in right there. See if I can zoom this in and show you. Goes right there. The one on the far left over there, that's the one that goes to my pump now. I've already went through the fuel tank and made a little length that goes into the bottom of the fuel tank. That's a hard rubber, that's a high pressure, that's rated, that'll go inside the fuel tank and be fine in there. And then I've got this freaking 10 micron filter here. I've shortened all this stuff up and tidied it up so it's a little better and it's not just hanging there. I left a little extra hose in case you gotta pull that filter out. You can just take those zip ties off that are here and there, and you can pull that down a little bit so you can get to it and not be fighting these clamps on both sides while you're doing it. And I have ran my line where I want it down through the frame, and it's all tidied up underneath, which I'll show you guys probably on the next video, maybe tomorrow. But I have not connected it here yet. Right, see, it goes on to my pump right here, right up in here, right here. I've got the power wires that come off that injection system that I got to run back still and hook in. So I'll be showing you guys all that, but I'm just trying to get you caught up on what I've done so far, because it's pretty interesting to me. I love these trucks. I've built a bunch of them. We're going to do something different with the rear end, because this rear end's probably going to blow up as soon as we try to run it. I was able to run, I had to hunt around at the junkyard, but I was able to find a Chevy drive line. I can't even remember what it came out of. I'll have to remember and I'll put it in my notes, but I was able to put that Chevy drive line in here and hook it back up to the Turbo 350 that's in here now. So we'll be maybe putting some different U-joints in that, because they're kind of old. I just wanted in there to mock it up mainly. So that about shows everything that I've really got to show you right now until I get underneath tomorrow and start working on it. And if you're wondering what all these wires are that I have right here, this whole bundle right here, I've got to follow it back through the harness down in here and up through, and it goes into these plugs here. And I am going to get rid of all that excess wire, anything that I am not running in the dash. I'm trying to keep the stock dash, so anything I'm not running in the dash is going to end up being unpinned and removed. So I'm not going to just hack it off and leave wires in the loom anywhere, because I want this thing to be clean and I want it to look like it's factory once I get all done with it. So you guys stay tuned, and probably tomorrow we'll do another video out here, and I'll get a little bit more of this stuff done, and I'll show you guys a little more things underneath. And sometimes, depending on what engine you run, you might need a different oil pan. This one has, I think it's a Speedway oil pan or something on it like that, and it actually fit quite well, because it goes back and then it drops behind the cross member, which when we get underneath tomorrow, we'll look at that and I'll show you guys all about that. And I've also went away from the column shifter in this truck and went to a floor shifter, because I put some Blazer buckets in it that were a lot nicer than the bench. The bench had a big huge hole in the driver's side. It wasn't comfortable. So basically these trucks are fairly cheap to work on, unless you're putting an engine like this in it, and then it gets kind of spendy. But these trucks are cheap to work on, because you can get parts like a dime a dozen, and it makes it a lot nicer to work on, because you can find things, especially where we've had shortages on lots of things. So, oh, and as well, you're also able to reuse, secondly down here, you're also able to reuse your power steering pump. Even that one right there is the original power steering pump for this truck. I took the adapter off of it, the extension, because it comes up clear up here, and I don't want that. It looks ugly. But you can reuse your power steering pump, and everything just hooks right back up to it in its location where it's supposed to. Like, that's already all plumbed in and done. So that's about all I've really got to show you guys today, really. So if you guys want to learn more about this, like and subscribe and follow my channel, and you guys can walk through this whole process with me the rest of the way. Trying to get you guys caught up because, like I said, I wasn't even ever planning on doing YouTube before I started building this truck for my friend. So let's get you all signed up watching, and we'll check her out. And if you guys are doing one of these yourself at home, you can go ahead and email me, and I can help you if you got questions or anything like that. Because after you get 4 or 5 of these under your belt, you could probably dang near do it in your sleep. So, alright everybody, in case you missed it, I'm going to be doing this whole series on this S10 pickup, getting this put together. I'm kind of redoing some stuff and making it look a little better because I got sick last time I was working on it, and I was sick for several months, had 3 surgeries. And I'm just getting back on it, and it's kind of taking a minute, but I'd like to thank everybody that's already liked and subscribed to my channel and been commenting on my videos. If you got a question and you want to ask, go ahead and ask me on my video, or even email me. And if you're doing the same build, I'm more than glad to help somebody out. It's a blast, and I like to see these little trucks when they're cruising down the road and they got a V8 in them. It's a lot funner than the 4.3 or the 2.2. So you guys haven't liked and subscribed, please do so now. It just helps make the channel get better, and we get monetized, then we can start doing some more fun stuff with the money we make. Even if it's $10, that's a couple cans of carb cleaner or something for our project. So stay tuned for more and follow this series. I'm going to have a whole series from start to finish, and we'll take it and run it. I'm going to try to talk my buddy into taking it down. We have some local drag races in Junction, Utah. I'd like to get him to take it down there so we could run it after we get the suspension all done. And we'd probably video all that as well if we do that. So you guys have a good evening, and I'll catch you guys all on the next one.